used to be BBC World Service came from, and it's Bush House. Except for they didn't do a U, they did a V, so it's Bavush House. They could do the curves for the B, but they had to do a V for the U. It never made sense. Okay. This used to be a river. In the middle of the Strand, now underground.
It's not the Fleet, is it?
Yeah. You went the wrong way. We'd have ended up going over Waterloo Bridge. We're going to go past the only road in London, and possibly the only road in England, where they drive on the right, which is the entrance to the Savoy. And the reason is so that the cabbies could come round from the right in front of the hotel, reach behind and open the door under the canopy so no one got wet. And the turning circle there is quite short, and is the reason why London cabs must have a 26-foot turning circle. All to do with the Savoy.
Are we in the Strand now?
This is the Strand.
So we're going to go past Charing Cross.
The other end.
Other end, yeah.
We're now in a street called the Strand, which is going to take us down to Trafalgar Square. Just before we get to Trafalgar Square, on the left-hand side is Charing Cross. Now, Charing Cross is the centre of London. When you see London 27 miles, that is the end point, the Charing Cross.
That's the road you drive on the right. The only road in London you drive.
The Savoy Hotel on the left, one of London's swankiest hotels. You can see them in the James Bond film.
Про Джеймса Бонда тут фильм снимали.
And the Savoy Theatre here was the very first theatre ever lit by electricity.
Gilbert and Sullivan, it was the...
It was Dolly Cutts.
You're going to see various theatres because there's an awful lot of theatres in London. It's one thing that tourists tend to do is go to the theatre. I think Robert's going to see Sunny Afternoon, isn't he? And I saw that 2 or 3 weeks ago. Yeah, it's great musical. The Kinks. Kinks were the first group I ever saw in 1960 something. Before you were
Какие-то сопки у них тоже.
The cross part of Charing Cross gets its name from we had a king back in the 1400s, no 1300s called 1300s, yeah, late 1300s called Edward III, and he was married to a French lady called Eleanor of Aquitaine. She died up in Yorkshire, and he brought her body back to London for burial, and at every stopping point he put up a cross. Quite an elaborate stone cross. There is one here, but it's a reproduction. There are only 2 that actually survive, and I think about 8 or 9 were put up for the whole journey.
I've seen the film. Quite fancy seeing the play.
Kinky Boots?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on for a short run. I saw it in the paper. Didn't get very good reviews.
I'll stick with the film.
Кинотеатр. Аделфи. Кинотеатр. Слушай, а что у них мусор лежит так посреди дороги? Это я уже видела.
Есть просто мусорники возле мусора, есть просто вот так мусор выбрасывают. Sometimes the best way to fit
Теперь их это забирают.
is stand out.
We have the cello, by the way. The cello? You want the cello? Cello? We picked it up this morning. We have it.
Что там еще интересненького? Что там еще интересненького впереди?
Еду не дописала.
Yeah, rush hour is now almost 24.
Не понимаю, что это, но тянет красивая.
Очень большие окна,
Угу.
да? Даже вот эти все равно большие.
I have a friend that used to work for Stanley Gibbons, standing on the right. He originally worked for a different snake dealer on the other side of the road. They got forced out because the rents they were asking meant it was impossible. Absolutely.
I have there's a McDonald's down here on the left.
That is the highest grossing McDonald's in London.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
Ого, сколько людей.
It was one of my last school trips, and I brought a group of 14, 15-year-old kids down to do something. Can't remember what. Oh, something's happening here. On the right, something's happening.
Something is happening on the right-hand side. That's the mobile police unit. They tend to come in with batons. Who knows?
Don't seem
Тут сборище тинейджеров каких-то.
any activity.
Anyway, this McDonald's, there was because they got sofas downstairs,
Yeah,
and there was
and Wi-Fi.
Yes, and Wi-Fi. So anyway, there was a city gent who'd obviously over-imbibed at lunchtime, and he was fast asleep, snoring his head off on the sofa. These girls came and said, "Can we put a chip in his mouth, sir?" And I went, "Gosh, you can't, gosh, you can't." Anyway, I
С
went up
вещами все
to
стоят.
round all the kids up to get them to go to wherever we were going. And suddenly these four girls came hurtling up the stairs.
Очередь какой-то
Now, sir.
машине.
Because on the bus back, on the train back, they showed me the film, dropping this chip in this guy's mouth, and he suddenly woke up with a start, and then all went blank.
Queen's Bank on the right there.
Coots, yeah.
Coots.
Who owns it now? They sold it for £1, didn't they?
NatWest.
That was the.
I know a lovely story of that. My father, when he retired, he used to be in the rag trade, and he became the treasurer of something called the Mary MacArthur Homes, which is where poor and impoverished rag trade workers could live. They had nowhere else to go and no money. And he set it up. They had a NatWest account and they had a Coots account, and he set it up that if there was more than £3,000 in the bank account, it would automatically sweep over to a high interest earning account at Coots. Well, very good idea. They were making quite a bit of money by doing it that way instead of just keeping the cash in the current account. The matron of the home contacted him and said, "We're having a whole load of work done this week and I've got masses of bills to pay. I'm going to need X £1,000 in the account." He says, "Not a problem, I'll transfer it back." So he transferred £5,000 into the current account. 3 days later, the matron phones up and says the workmen are complaining their checks are bouncing. So And he phoned up NatWest and said, well, I just transferred £5,000 to cover all these chicks. Yeah, we saw that, but there's an automatic sweep that says there's more than 3,000 and we send it to Coots, so we just sent it back. Brain dead. Absolutely brain dead. And I have a cousin who just fancied opening a Coots account for the sheer, I don't know, show off, if you like, of having a Coots checkbook. And he says the account was opened by a guy wearing knee breeches and a frock coat. And he says, I kid you not, they used a quill pen.
Well, I sing with a guy called John, and he had an account at Coots. He's just moved his account to Marks and Spencer's because he says they offer a much better rate of interest.
Oh yeah, I'm not surprised now. It looks like they're doing something to the cross.
Charing Cross station is on the left, and the cross I was telling you about, which this one's a fake, but it's there, and we were just going past it right now. And similar things were built by King Edward III back in about 1420. So we're now coming into Trafalgar Square, which is straight ahead of us, and we have a statue to a man called Lord Nelson, who actually was born in the county where I now live, called Norfolk, and he's our most famous sailor, and he died in a battle called Trafalgar in 1805, and this square was laid out in the 1820s, and they decided to name it after that battle and put a statue up to him. We have quite a lot of political demonstrations in this square, and also it's very busy on New Year's Eve.
Did you know that's the only statue to Lord Nelson? He was not popular with the establishment, he wasn't known. And it took a lot of persuasion to put a statue up. And he's looking down Whitehall, glaring at where Admiralty House used to be.
We're going to drive through the archway that you can see straight ahead. If you can see straight ahead, you're probably too high. It's called Admiralty Arch. It was built for government office. Well, it was actually built by the king called Edward VII in about when he ordered it to be built. It finished till after he died. It's government offices basically. He built it in honour of his mother. And we're now in the Mall, and we're heading straight towards Buckingham Palace.
Now the furniture in the middle of this road just drops in and pulls out, all of it. Yep, so they can have processions down the middle of the road. Nothing is bolted in, it just drops in.
This is where someone tried to shoot Princess Anne, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know if you know anything about our royal family, but we have a queen. She had several children. She had one daughter called Princess Anne. That's still alive. It was on this particular street that Princess Anne was driving along, and some nutter decided to get in her car and try and shoot her. But luckily, he didn't succeed.
Okay, I can't go round, I can't stop, I'm afraid.
So,
But it'll be on their right side, on this side.
on the right-hand side, you'll see Buckingham Palace, but unfortunately, we cannot stop because otherwise, we'll get police cars around us instantly and that sort of stuff.
Right now on the right side?
It's right at the end, but I've got to turn left, so it'll be on the right as I turn. The statue is to Queen Victoria in front of it.
Yeah, Queen Victoria's statue straight in front, Buck Powell behind, and the bus is going to turn left, so you'll see it out your right-hand window.
There's a bus, but I can excuse for this.
Buckingham Palace, the Queen has 4 places in which she lives. Buckingham Palace is the official one. It became a royal palace in 1837 when we had a queen called Victoria. Until about 2 weeks ago, Victoria was our longest reigning queen. But Elizabeth, our present Queen, overtook her 2 weeks ago. I can't remember how many years.
63.
63 years. 63 years.
В общем, где-то там вдалеке.
The Queen doesn't own this. The government owns this. They also own one of the other palaces, which is called Windsor Castle. She owns two palaces. One's called Sandringham House, and the other one's called Balmoral. Sandringham House actually isn't too far from where I live, up in Norfolk, and the other one's up in Scotland. She spends most of the summer in Scotland.
Right, we'll do a double run past the Houses of Parliament. So we'll go past them one way, down to Lambeth Bridge, turn around and come back again.
We're now going to go past the Houses of Parliament. The Houses of Parliament, we have two chambers. We have a House of Commons and a House of Lords, and together they call the Houses of Parliament. Most of this building was built in the 1830s because the original burned down. There is still one old part called Westminster Hall, which dates from about 1130. And of course, probably the most famous bit of Parliament is Big Ben. A lot of people think Big Ben is the tower, but in fact it's the bell. The bell is called Big Ben, and the tower... St Stephen's, yes, St Stephen's Tower, that's right. We're going to have two runs at the tower, at the House of Parliament. We'll go one way and we'll come back the other. Do you see the London Eye?
You'll see it from the square, from Parliament Square.
Big Ben straight ahead, saying it's 20 past 8. Parliament Square coming up, various statues to people. I suppose the most famous would be Nelson Mandela and Winston Churchill. I used to regularly come down here to the House of Parliament because I taught sociology in my last few years, and of course this is one place to visit. And we were down here, and the coach we're in, it's Sumwent, yeah, and within a minute we were surrounded by police cars.
And yet, I have a friend who is a taxi driver who also is a keen rifle shooter. And on the day that Erie Neve was blown up,
Just down here,
he drove in here in his taxi with 3 rifles in the back. And they just ignore him because taxis are invisible.
On the right we have Westminster Abbey, which is where lots of our kings and queens are buried.
Crowns. It's the old hall.
Oliver Cromwell.
Короче, памятник какой-то.
Ever seen anything on Ukraine?
There's got to be interference from the microphones and everything around all the security. Tell you what, I'm going to come back on the other side of the river. A, because there's traffic here, and B, because you get a fabulous view. Does mean the people on that side get the best view.
We're going to go over the River Thames and then come back on ourselves.
Кажется, фоткались. Лучше смотри, я сейчас поставлю без вспышки, но если оно будет плохо видно, то тогда переставлю. Хорошо. Просто на телефон удобно потом сбросить. Ладно, мы только что снова видели.
It's 45 minutes to do so. And I don't like heights, but it doesn't worry me.
Я на самом деле мы очень счастливы, мы выходили фоткаться.
There's no feeling of movement.
Куда мы сейчас едем без понятия.
Это, наверное, стадион, мне кажется.
Что?
Это, наверное, стадион, нет? Очень похож.
Go.
This road used to have every newspaper. Now it does not even have one.
Actually,
Yes. And the second oldest pub in London coming up on the left. The oldest one's way out down towards.
Here's one for you, Rob. Second oldest pub in London coming up on the left.
Just here.
St Paul's Cathedral is straight ahead. You can see the dome if you duck down. St Paul's Cathedral was built in the 17th century. We had a big fire in London which destroyed an awful lot of London, including the original St Paul's, and then a famous Englishman called Sir Christopher Wren built what you see in front. And that dome is so well designed that you can be on one side and whisper. It's called the Whispering Gallery at the top, and you can whisper and you can hear the whisper the other side of the dome.
go.
You also got St Bride's Church, which you can't really see in the night, which has a steeple that looks like a wedding cake, which is where the wedding cakes came from, after St Bride's. These chicanes were put in after the IRA bombs. Still magnificent building.
Yeah, it is lovely.
Even though they built all this rubbish in front of it. Every light's gone red.
I went to the opening ceremony of the Rugby World Cup last Friday. Saw the first game.
We have one coach there picking up. He couldn't get near enough, he had to park quite a distance away, text the people he's collecting and say, you're going to have to walk to me.
Yeah, well.
it was fairly well organised, I will admit. And as soon as we approach these, they go red.
Rugby's. I played rugby all my life till the body got too bad and stuff, and I've been going to Twickenham for donkey's years. And I parked the other side of the sewage works,
Oh yes.
which there used to be a teacher training college called Borough Road on the A4, which is now flats. So I had a mate there, and he taught me the route through. That was back in the 70s.
Well, my wife's teacher's training college is now a golf course and flats.
Oh, right. Wow. Another mate gave me a route through London, coming through Harrow, Wembley, Greenford,
Yep.
dropping into Isleworth, which is,
I know that. I used to drive it every day.
well, it's still really quick, really quick.
I live North Harrow, Edgware.
Okay.
I still do. And I worked in Isleworth. And that was my route to work every day.
Right, well,
Over 3 bridges. Where a road bridge goes over a canal that goes over
yes.
a railway on exactly the same point.
Yes, it does, you're right, yeah. Isn't that part of Syon Park or something?
On the way down to Syon Park,
Yeah.
towards Syon Park.
Anyway, last Friday, I've never been to a rugby match on a Friday before, so it was interesting driving through school traffic, which took me a bit by surprise, but coming back, we were making fantastic time.
Until?
Until, yeah, got to the A1, closed, roadworks, and they sent us through High Barnet, took ages.
Yeah, a long time ago.
There we go.
They used to have a traffic master system in all their coaches, and it would tell you in advance what the traffic is, but now TomToms do it automatically. Back then it was very new, and it was these funny things that looked like downlighters for the bridges,
Right?
and they weren't speed checks, they were counting the average speed of a car during a 4-minute period. So your information was never more than 4 minutes old. We're going to sneak through here.
Oh, underground.
Monument on your right there. We did mention the fire. There's a nice little house coming up, just under 1,000 years old.
What's this?
Yeah, it's called the White Tower. Straight ahead.
Oh, well, the White Tower, yeah. Sorry.
Or Bloody Tower if you want.
Yeah, Bloody Tower, yeah.
And straight ahead is the Tower of London, which started life as a castle for a man called William the Conqueror about 1,000 years ago, and the central tower is the original castle, and then it got extended. Lots of executions took place there, and
Henry VIII's wives.
including one of Henry VIII's wives. And I don't know if you reached the roses celebrating the First World War. Did that reach Ukraine?
Poppies.
Poppies? No, sorry, not poppies. Yeah, poppies, not roses. Poppies.
Alright.
They filled the moat. The moat, where the water used to be, they filled it with poppies to commemorate the First World War. And it was very spectacular. And they made it look like a cascade was coming out the tower. And there were thousands and thousands of these plastic poppies, which they then sold for charity.
Great Tower Street. Great Tower Street. Посмотрим на Google карту.
Говорила с камерой?
Да, я не могу заснять Great Tower Street. Я не могу. Я потом зайду на Google карту и проеду еще раз. При дневном свете.
Даже есть такой бас-стоп способ. То есть закрывается остановка. Как-то странно, правда?
То есть на эту остановку больше никакой автобус не приезжает.
Это понятно, ты же пришел и типа его больше нет.
Ну нелогично, лучше бы автобус вообще не ездил. Если он ездит, то он не остановится.
Another time I worked in the East End of London, in Bethnal Green Road, and at the other end of Bethnal Green Road, there's Brick Lane.
Right.
And at the top end of Brick Lane, which is not that far from here, there's a 24-hour Bible shop, and you can buy what Americans call bagels and what the Europeans call Bibles. 24 hours a day, and there's normally a queue outside. Anytime you go there, there's a queue. All the taxi drivers go there, and if you're paying for a smoked salmon and cream cheese bagel, sandwich shop in West End, if you're paying £4 there, you're paying £2 in Brick Lane, and it was just as good. And they were very generous with their smoked salmon. I used to go there, I'd buy 4, that was lunch taken care of. The trouble is they also did the most gorgeous cheesecake.
We did a European tour in July. Belgium, Germany, France, back to Belgium and a little dip into France.
There's the town. I'm afraid we're not going over the town bridge. It's impossible to turn around to something this size.
The Tower Bridge, you just got a glimpse of it because it's behind this. This is the Tower of London, and it's behind there. Unfortunately, we're not going to go over it because we need to go out of London a different route.
Anyway, Rob, who I'm with, he did most of the hotel bookings, and we ended up with some fantastic deals because there were 60 odd people travelling. And we stayed in Ypres the last night.
Oh yeah.
Last night we had Ypres, which we've been to a few times before, and stayed at the main gate. And Ypres was a glorified youth hostel because the hotels there aren't quite the same standard, and we wanted to be right in the centre. Anyway, a mate of mine called Keith came up to me because I did the organising as well. He came up to me on the final breakfast and said, I've got a complaint. What is it? He said, there's no smoked salmon for my breakfast. I rolled with that. I said, yeah, that's all the woes you have in life, Keith. But we did stay at some awesome hotels.
Well, I'm diabetic and I'm staying at a 4-star De Vere hotel, and I've said to the waitress, there's nothing on this dessert menu that I can eat because I'm diabetic. Is it possible the chef could just do a fruit salad? Fruit salad will be fine. Yes, of course. She goes away, I'll ask him. Comes back and says, the chef says, of course, no problem, he will do a fruit salad. So she comes back with a fruit salad with this sticky, sugary concoction, all because he can't do something unless it's beautifully presented. And just putting a fruit salad with nothing on it is not good enough. Oh, it was a crime. Anyway, I had to send it back. I said, no, I'm afraid it's got to be absolutely plain. I know the chef's going to do his nut because he must have it looking good.
Я чувака снимала.
On this occasion,
Чувака снимала на
just the
камеру, вот
same.
так видно. Хоть кого-то видно. Эй, чувак, алло, позвони.
Now,
Он
we're
какой-то
going to
школьник,
go
да?
past the
Школьник какой-то.
New London Hospital, which is where the London Air Ambulance resides. And London has one ambulance. One helicopter air ambulance. And 55 days a year, that's out of service because it must be down for maintenance. Well, I'm a Freemason and the Freemasons decided that's not acceptable, so London Freemasons are buying another ambulance. And so far raised 3 of the 5 million it needs. Ridiculous. One ambulance. One air ambulance.
I have a 98-year-old father. He was a Freemason.
Смотри, как женщина
100
перекрутила.
years.
Да, да. Ей же обойти чуть-чуть было.
Anyway,
Ей же обойти чуть-чуть было.
another thing is that we now have Prince William, of course, who's air ambulance in Norfolk,
Yeah.
Cambridgeshire. My niece works at Edinburgh, and she says that they say he's not that he personally, it's a pain in the arse having him working there because they never quite know when and where he can work, and also, of course, he brings along all his security.
В принципе, я видно, что к нам тоже приезжают и думают, как повезло этим людям, они зажили, да?
She told me a week before that happened, she said, because when the chief exec resigned, I said, what's going on? And she said,
The care is still supposed to be excellent. The problem is overstaffing.